If you're like me, you lived under your parents' roof your whole life. In college, it was the first time that you had to find housing on your own. Hi guys, it's Katie, and today I want to talk about housing, specifically at Cornell with on-campus housing, but more importantly, off-campus housing. I also want to talk about sublets for people who choose to stay in Ithaca for the summer or winter, or study abroad, and also storage, especially as an international student. You don't have anywhere in the States to leave your stuff when you go off in the summer or when you're transitioning between houses or dorms. So let's talk about first year. First year I was still on-campus housing, and everyone is required to stay on campus the first year, so you're pretty much set. I was in CKB or Court K Bauer Hall. It was randomly assigned to me. All I got to choose was my roommate, and I did a whole video on that. This was super straightforward. Cornell walks you through it. Because though I was in a dorm in first year and I was going to continue being in a dorm, I needed storage space for the summer to keep my stuff, because at the end of the year you have to get rid of all your stuff in the dorm so they can make room for students who come over the summer. I kept my stuff with Big Red Shipping and Storage. An alternative one is Storage Squad, which is the local Ithaca one. But in either case, you will pick up boxes from these storage services, and then you'll schedule a time for them to pick it up so that they can keep it for you over the summer, and then you'll schedule another time for when you're back on campus in the fall, and they will deliver it to your new place. So sophomore year, I was part of the on-campus housing system, but this time I lived on West Campus in Hans Bethe House. Again, I picked my roommates, but this time I wasn't choosing one roommate, I was choosing 4 because of the blocking system where you group together and then enter the housing lottery together. Now for storage, I could have just kept it again with Big Red Shipping and Storage, but I actually just kept my old boxes, and then I had friends now who lived off campus, so I kept it with a friend who lived at his frat house, and he was kind enough to let me keep my stuff with him, and then when the school year started, I just got it back from him. Okay, now for junior year, I did off-campus housing. So this was the first time I was outside of Cornell's help and had to learn how to navigate the housing process. 2 tips right off the bat is number 1, start early. In Ithaca specifically, you have to look a year ahead because Ithaca, especially where Cornell students live, it's known to be a college town where leases for the next year actually already start August, September of the current year. So for example, when I was a sophomore, I had just gone on campus. I was already looking for housing for next year because I knew I would be a junior. I knew I would want to live off campus, and I knew the housing market started early. Second tip, which is super helpful for me and will continue to be for you, is to ask upperclassmen. Ask them for advice, ask them for apartment tours. Sometimes people will also pass down their apartment and you can get it for cheaper. That said, junior year, I lived in Eddygate apartments with Travis Hyde Properties. The interesting thing with Ithaca is there really are just 2 or 3 main rental companies, and one of them is Travis Hyde Properties and the other is Ithaca Renting. In terms of Eddygate though, it was a reputable apartment. I asked upperclassmen before I looked at this place, so I already knew that, in terms of location, it was just 5 minutes away from campus, so it was super convenient. I lived right across Sophomore, where I love to order takeout kimbap and also kung fu tea, which encouraged maybe too much boba. Amenities wise, there's great heating, and this actually is a really important point that I took for granted because the next year in my later apartment, if it get really cold in the winter, I would have to wear socks and just more hoodies, but Eddygate's heating was really good. It also had a huge laundry room, so I never had to wait. This is also an important detail because in my next apartment, there was only 4 washing and dryer machines. In Eddygate, there were like 8. Packages were also all left in a room inside the building, so it's very accessible. My rent for this place cost $848 per month, and it was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom that fit 5 people. So there were 2 doubles and 1 single, which I got. Senior year, we moved apartments. When I say we, I mean my roommates and I, because they wanted singles. So we moved into a 5-bedroom, 1-bathroom now in Collegetown Court by Ithaca Renting. Again, it was a reputable company. They also own a bunch of other properties like Collegetown Plaza and Collegetown Center. It really felt like a dorm, except it was located in Collegetown. Location, again though, was wonderful. It was a 5-minute walk away from campus. It was above Poke Lava, which I started getting a lot of Poke Bowl takeout from, and it was across UT, again feeding my boba addiction. Amenities wise, the packages were not delivered to the specific building, so you actually have to go to the Ithaca Renting office to pick up your packages. But that said, they had a really good system where they would email notify you when a package arrived, and your roommates could pick it up for you, and they would confirm it with an email and tell you, oh, your package was picked up by this person. So I thought it was super organized that way. Laundry room though, like I mentioned earlier, was tiny, and there would always be people in our building group meet, I'd be like, yo guys, can you please take your stuff out the dryer? Like, I need to use this. Please come get your stuff, blah, blah, blah. Blessed though is they had a gym, so you could access it anytime with your key. My rent for this place was $911 per month. Note though that this was prorated and decided among my roommates. Okay, now that we're done with housing, let's talk about sublets. I both sublet my place to someone and been a sub-tenant. Sublet because I was away for a semester during the pandemic, and so I'd let someone live in my place. And I also was a subtenant because I stayed in Ithaca over the summer. This is such a great way to save money when you're away. So how to find a sublet? My first choice, and the one I would strongly recommend, is through a friend. This is how I found my housing over the summer. Is I just told my friends, yo, I'm planning on staying in Ithaca in the summer. I'm looking for a place to stay. Do you guys have a place where your lease starts in the summer, or do you know anyone who does? And literally one of my best friends did have her lease, so she was like, yo, yeah, you can stay at my place. I'll clear my stuff out and you can get it also for a discounted rate. I saved a lot that summer because of her. Other options that I know, posting on Instagram, which is actually how I found my current roommate, is just posting on my story and being like, yo, do you guys know anyone who is staying in Ithaca over the summer looking for a roommate? Architecture students I know also have spreadsheets because as part of the program they are required to study abroad for a bit, so there's always people in the spring or fall looking for people. Cornell is an app that one of my friends made and allows people to post listings online, and Facebook Marketplace is how my roommates also found people over the summer once we graduated, because our leases still continued until August. In terms of subletting, I did this my summer before junior year because I was away, but my lease already started in the summer, so now I was in the reverse situation where there was someone in the summer who wanted to stay at my place. That person I found through word of mouth. Now that we've talked about subletting, I just have some final thoughts I think it's super important to know about housing at Cornell and Ithaca specifically. Number one is that sublets are priced around the original rent cost, and that is reasonable because Ithaca has a pretty high demand housing market. This wasn't as much the case before when I was a first year and people could drive down the cost actually of subletting over the summer. There was just a way greater supply of people who had apartments versus the number of people who actually wanted a sublet, but I've noticed that change over the years I was here, maybe because of the pandemic, maybe because working remotely over the summer became more popular, and so people would just stay in Ithaca over the summer. There were also more visiting students, people doing research here over the summer, etc., etc. And so now I've noticed that people, when they find a sublet, they will just take it at the original price. Like, they will just match it because they want the apartment. My roommates who found subletters through Facebook Marketplace committed very quickly once they found my roommate sublet. That said, obviously, I'm sure you could try to bargain, but if you are looking for more affordable prices, your best bet is just friend discount. That is it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. I know I really needed this and wish there was someone just breaking down the housing process and market for me when I first came to Ithaca. So give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend if you think they would find it helpful. This also is the last video in my Cornell Degree series, so I want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I really tried my best to share everything I learned at Cornell, everything I wish I knew with you guys over the 4 years. I'm wishing you the best. I love you. Take care, and I'll see you next Saturday with another new video. Bye!